Three, two, one. Welcome to Jim's Take, episode 162. That's a lot. My goodness, it's been a while. It's been a minute since I've done a podcast. The first quarter of this year, I just kind of checked out a little bit, was doing other stuff, and I don't like doing a podcast if I don't have anything, I think meaningful to say, and working with clients and doing all that kind of stuff. And I can't stand people who just put stuff out to put out noise. But now we're back. I have things to say. And that's where we're going to go going forward. Today we're going to talk about alignment and misalignment, as it were. Everyone, I think, is a little overwhelmed. People are feeling stuck. At least this is what I'm hearing from my clients. This is what I'm feeling myself. The first quarter, this was a dark winter, difficult time. World is burning. All kinds of stuff. We're getting pushed and pulled in a million different directions. And there was a real question of, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? Right? And when we sit, and especially high performers, I work with a lot of high performers, CEOs, COOs, they're really saying, they have this stuck feeling, this imaginary block, and they don't know what it is, and they're thinking it's overwhelmed. And this is the same, I'm talking about them. It's also me too. I could talk about this with authority, I feel like. And we feel overwhelmed, right? The news, the craziness, the kids, the snow before was absolutely insane if you live in the Northeast like I do. And now we've got a little bit of sunshine and things are kind of feeling better and we feel good about ourselves and that's going to do it. But this isn't really the challenge that we were, I've been speaking to clients about and working through myself was this isn't really a question of capability like, am I going to make it? Can I do it? We know we can do it. Right? It's one foot in front of the other. We do the work we have to do. It's going to be a challenge. We can do all of that kind of stuff. It's really a different type of question. And when we ask ourselves questions, and I do this work with a lot of people, I love being able to ask yourself a really, really good question and an honest question. And can you answer it honestly and do this type of work? And so, when you're feeling stuck, is it a question of courage, of taking the risk you have to take? Is it a question of too much work? Is it a question of direction? Is it a question of burnout? Or is it this question of alignment? And this is kind of where I've been really going, and maybe this is just 2 years after ayahuasca, I'm finally kind of figuring it out. But, I like to think I'm smart. I like to think I'm driven. And I work with a lot of smart and driven people. But we can be exhausted very quickly by doing all the work that we want to do. And when I think about misalignment, and it's given me a nice bit of clarity over the past few months. We're being pushed and pulled in all these different directions because of what we're supposed to do. Now, I'm incredibly hostile to authority, as many of you know. And so when someone's pushing me or something is pushing me or pulling me to do something I don't want to do, it knocks me off my kilter, and then I get angry and I get pissed off, and I don't like doing the things I don't want to do, which is why I'm in business for myself, right? I can do whatever the hell I want, and that's great, and I love that. But the outrageous amount of directions we're being pulled in, we've lost our central being, right? You operate in some kind of way and you're doing the things you love, and then you get knocked one way. So you take a step over and you continue down, then you get knocked another way and you go off, and all of a sudden you poke your head up and you look back and say, what the hell am I even doing right now? Right? And so we have to kind of ask ourselves these questions. Who am I? What is it I want to do? Is my behavior matching the person that I want to be? And all of that type of work. So let's talk about misalignment. What is misalignment? And I had one client who was very smart. He worked in the entertainment industry, out in like the movies in Hollywood and all that kind of stuff, did TV shows and all that. Wasn't an actor, but he was on the back end. And he talked about the frustration of the duplicity he felt, where he had this kind of core value of honesty and trust. He built his team, but he also knew that he had to lay half his team off. But he wasn't allowed to tell anybody. And he was really struggling with this duplicity kind of thing. And core to my heart, right? I get it, right? So the behavior we're forced to take doesn't match our priorities and who we are and the values we hold and all of that. And when we state these priorities or these priorities remain unstated, and we have to do these behaviors, we could put on the show, right? Fake it till you make it. But inside there is this internal churn, right? You know that you're not being the person that you wish to be, or doing the behaviors that you really think are core to who you are. And it's one of those difficult life work balance things that people don't talk about. It's not about time necessarily. It's about ideals and values and motivations and who we are as a human being. That's really the balance that we have to work on. And when that's not aligned, that's what leads to burnout. The gap between what you claim matters and what your daily actions reinforce, that gap is typically where most of the burnout comes, right? I mean, you could give me a shit ton of work and I will rock it, provided it's what it is that I want to do, and it's who I am, and it's, executing the things that are important to me and all of those types of things. But when I have to, struggle through and do these things, that's where procrastination comes, and the work piles up, and then we look at the workload as the burnout, because we always tend to look externally at things, but we're not focused on the internal churn that we have instead, and that's really where the exhaustion comes from, where we just feel this overwhelmed because it's not who we are. And we're stuck doing these things that we don't wish to do. And there's this duplicity of being a person that you're not. And it's not this big, dramatic challenge. When we talk about change, it's not this big, crazy kind of, oh my gosh, this massive thing. Although that happens, it's this low-grade frustration that we carry daily. You say, I have to do this thing, and I don't want to do it, and it's not who I am. And it leads, at least to me, restlessness. Right? And we have to change our state. Like, we're constantly restless. We have this resentment of the person we're becoming, and that's where negative behaviors come in. I have to just change my state. So we eat too much, or we drink too much, or we smoke too much, or we do whatever. And then we also look at the people who feel like they have it together, and we resent this kind of the fact that people seem to have figured it out, but they've taken the moves that they need to make. And so how do we kind of put in a fix? Like, sleep doesn't fix this tiredness. Like, we have this kind of exhaustion, this low-grade frustration, this low-grade tiredness, and it leads to burnout, but it's this internal friction that leads to burnout. And that's what I think a lot of people are dealing with now. We're going in directions that we don't necessarily believe in because, well, there's a lot of because. I don't want to kind of project, but I mean, for me, like, AI does all the work, and that's great. You could churn out a bunch of stuff, but you're not being creative, right? For me, I have to be creative. I want to write the book. I don't want ChatGPT to write the book for me, right? That's where the real value comes from. Can I do this kind of work? Am I working hard enough to do this? And then look what I created, and be proud of something. But just churning out process and this and that, and look how much I did, and I got all this work done, and I checked 9 out of the 10 boxes on this list, and you still feel hollow inside because you're not living to what it is that you want to do. So there's different questions I like to ask myself when I have this mode and I operate in this mode, and I put them down into 4 kind of categories. And maybe these are categories of misalignment. I don't know. But these are the questions that I like to ask myself if I'm feeling off. Like, one of them is, like, I'll do 4+. Like, the first one is always, if I'm not feeling right, is, am I eating right? Am I working out? Am I getting enough sleep? That's kind of the diet, fitness, sleep thing. We all know it. We ignore it. Fine. But that's usually kind of a quick fix, right, to help me get back into the person that I wish to be. But there are 4 categories where we could say, look, I feel overwhelmed. I'm feeling stuck. I'm not doing what I want to do. And so could it be one of these? Yeah, you could talk about behaviors and habits and all of those things, but there are 4 deeper questions that we have to ask ourselves. And these are not easy questions to answer. Like, these are ones where you go away for a weekend and you start asking yourself, like, what really matters to me type of stuff. And so the first one I like to talk about is identity, right? Who you think you are versus how you actually behave. And so, for an example, I tell people I'm an effective decision maker, right? Like, I'm a really good decision maker, and I can do these types of things. I'm a decisive leader, right? Whatever. But you're kicking the can down the road on a hard call, right? Because you just say, I just don't know what to do. You're not a decisive leader, right? The behavior there doesn't match who you are. I'm a very present parent is another one. But you're sitting on your phone, or you're constantly mentally kind of living in your emails for work. And when we're doing these things, right, you know what no one else knows. The challenge I talked about back in COVID was, people were forced to have these conversations in their head that they weren't ready to have. When we don't know what it is that we value and our behaviors don't match it, we feel like this internal level of shame, right? I'm not living up to who I wish to be or who I claim to be, right? And that's this weird level of duplicity. Nobody else might see it, but you feel it. You know it inside. right? Yes, I'm a present parent, but I'm also, just because I bring them to the playground, but I'm checking my emails and I'm not looking at them across the monkey bars, right? Like there is this kind of weird kind of thing, and we're not explicit about it. We know we're not like totally like, oh, I recognize it. We're aware of it at this kind of lower level type of thing. So when we think about identity, who is the person that you think you are or wish to be? And are your behaviors matching it? You know, the Hogan is I think I've talked about the Hogan on here. It's this great personality assessment. It's like the Porsche of personality assessments. And I use it for senior leaders. And they've got these different results you get when you take this 45-minute test. And one is like who you are, because it talks about the two different sides of personality, who you are. And then the other one is what other people see when you're under stress. They call it the dark side of personality. Personality's got two components. It's who we claim to be and who we know we are and who we think we know we are. But then it's also what other people see. And when that's not aligned, then you're kind of, feeling this weird rub. When you first meet people, you talk about first interactions, right? We make these flash judgments about people. We sit there and we say, all right, you're at a networking event, you first meet someone, first impressions, and yada, yada. We put so much pressure on first impressions. When you go to meet someone new and you're walking across the room, the way you carry yourself, the way you're walking, the way you're smiling or not smiling, all this stuff, that person has made a judgment on who you are. Now, when you start speaking to them and interacting with them, if that persona doesn't match the person they thought you were, they kind of like have this ick moment where they kind of back off, right? And so there is this kind of, this is who I am versus what other people see. We have this kind of disconnect, and that impacts our interactions with other people and everything else. So in order to have good social interaction and all this other stuff, it starts with identity. What is your identity? Who is the person you claim to be? And are you living the behaviors that you wish to do it? Like for me, I always wanted my identity to be a triathlete. I was always like the Ironman, let's do it, rah, 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 and I did the Ironman, but I never felt like it because I would just kind of rip it. I didn't live the behaviors that, I would just kind of see if I could do it. But I wasn't a triathlete because I didn't eat right. I didn't work out right. I didn't train properly. I didn't do any of those things, and I paid the price for it. But I knew that there was some kind of rub. Like I felt that's where we feel phony. It's where this imposter syndrome comes. It comes from all this other kind of stuff, this disconnect from who we are versus the behaviors that we have. So that's one. Number one is identity. So ask ourselves, are my behaviors matching who I claim to be or wish to be? That's number one. Number two, values. And that's the third one in the Hogan. The third one is your motivations, your values, and all of that. So what you say matters versus what you reward is a big question, right? So the things that we claim, like we claim to talk about integrity and we claim to believe all these different things. You say health matters, but your calendar is showing that your availability to other people is always going to kick your gym off the list. You say culture matters at work, but you're promoting the biggest rainmaker because they make a ton of money, but nobody likes working with them. Right? So these things of like what you value, right? These things are going to destroy morale. It's what other people see. Deep down, we know it's hypocritical. Deep down, we know we're not doing it, but we're not being in that explicit kind of way. So what is it that you value? Is it trust? Is it honesty? When we're so quick to say what other people should be doing, yet we're still going to take the same shortcuts because it's just this one time, right? And this is just for me. And we've got some kind of justification for this. When we think about who we wish to be, does your calendar reward that? Right? Is your identity that much of a value that you're now going to readjust your calendar and all of these things? I want to be present for my team. I want to be present for my kids. I want to do this. I want to do that. What micro decisions are you making that you're actually rewarding for yourself? And what are you giving back to yourself? Those values fuel your identity. What are you giving time, attention, and praise to? That's a difficult question to ask. What really matters to you? And is your calendar, your time, and your presence leaning into that? So identity and values, that's two of them. Number three, your desires. And this one I think was fairly eye-opening to me over the past couple months as I was kind of doing some deep reflective work is what do you want versus what are you willing to sacrifice? What do you want versus what are you willing to do? Anything you want, you have to give something up, right? Like let's say you want freedom, but you also want security, approval, comfort, all this other stuff. Like you're not going to get those types of ambitions, right? You're not going to get those things don't always align. You want the ease of tech. You don't want data tracking you all over the place. Tough shit. You want the summer body as we're getting into summer, but you don't want to make the time on your calendar to go to the gym. Anything that we want, as we think about our identity, who we wish to be, the values that we hold, and the things that we want, when you think about the things that you want, what are you willing to drop in order to get it? Because we can't be everything to everybody, and we can't be everything to ourselves. And when we start to shed the things that just don't matter, there is this clarity and this comfort and this beautiful thing, and everything iterates into a different type of way. When you focus on you, and you focus on getting work done and the work that you love and your enjoyment, all of a sudden you're enjoying yourself. You attract more people who want to be around people that you enjoy, and all of a sudden they start to help, and all of a sudden success comes after that. You don't go after the success thing first. You go after you first, and then you find the identity, the values, the motivations, the desires, all of those things, and everything else comes with it, right? We like to start at the end and work back, but sometimes you have to start at the beginning and start with you. So what are you looking and wanting and desiring? And then what are you willing to give up for that? That's a hard question as well. And I've got a book coming out in a couple months, and I was going to sit and do the whole push a big publisher and go find the agent and do all that stuff. It's going to take me a year. I just don't care, right? I just want the book out. I want to give this to clients. I just want to go. It's just what are we looking for? External recognition? What are we doing? No, I just want to accomplish it. I want to get it done, and then I can move on to the next type of thing. That's an important thing for me. Now, there are some people who are just so motivated, and the value is, I want the attention, I want to do that. It's why you see these influencers everywhere and all that kind of nonsense. Fine, man. That's it. That's, I would argue it's hollow, this kind of false level of attention. But if you want something and you're not willing to sacrifice something, then it's just going to remain a fantasy. So just give it up. I always wanted to speak French. I'm putting in 0 time studying French. I've accepted the fact that I'm never going to speak French. Fine, right? Now it's no longer on my to-do list. Just get it off, right? It's great. Fine, done, easy. And then the final question I'll ask, so we've got identity, we've got values, we've got desires, fear. And this is the one that people don't like to talk about. And the question that I'll ask myself, if I can't get something off my to-do list that I know I want to do, and I know it's important to me, and I know it can be good, the question I've learned to ask myself very quickly is, what am I afraid of? What's preventing me from doing this? And when we think about what really drives us versus what we admit will drive us are two different things, right? I hear this a lot from clients. Oh, I didn't make this decision. I'm just trying to be strategic. No, you're afraid of the risk of losing income, of status, looking foolish. I don't know, whatever it is, right? So, I'm just being strategic, so I'm going to wait a little bit on this kind of thing. No, right? We don't want to be exposed. And when we're exposed, this vulnerability is very, very uncomfortable. We very subtly betray and sabotage ourselves. And we have to dig deep to find out what that fear is to prevent us from taking some kind of step to put us on that journey. The step doesn't have to be big. It just has to be a tiny step. Maybe you have to learn more. That's fine. Say, you know what? I'm afraid to do it because I don't think I know enough. Fine. Then go learn more about it, right? I'm afraid that other people are going to think I'm an idiot. Well, then don't do it, right? Or do it and kind of risk it and tell everyone else to pound sand. Who cares? I have found most people who take the risk, even when they fail, are very much admired by the people who matter, right? Other people might put you down, fine, but nobody says anything negative about somebody if they have a healthy self-image. And so if somebody has a healthy self-image, they're not going to be putting you down. They're going to be like, I recognize, game knows game, right? Good for you for trying it, good for you for doing it. Those are the people you surround yourself with. So when we think about fear, what are we afraid of? What's really preventing me from doing something? These are the hard questions that we have to do. And again, you don't have to share this with the world. When we think about identity, values, desires, and fear, these are all churning inside of you, whether you know it or not. And we have to ask ourselves these questions. And am I being the person that I wish to be? That comes down to alignment. And we're trying to protect an identity that other people might see. We're trying to cling to some version of success that other people might admire. we're avoiding decisions because it might disrupt something that's important, and that leaves us feeling stuck. And as a high performer, when you feel stuck and you're not making progress, we feel misaligned, and we feel like a failure, and we feel like all these other types of things. And so when we start focusing on ourselves, we start putting the energy back into ourselves, stop fighting ourselves. Suddenly this energy goes to where we're aligned to, and the energy comes back, and we get excited, and things gain purpose, and that attracts the people that we need to be attracted to. But we have to be aligned ourselves. If we're trying to do something else, then that's it. So there is a decision right now that you need to make. Everybody has one. We're avoiding it. It might be a conversation you need to have. It may be a boundary you need to put in. It could be a resignation. Could be a promotion. Could be launching a business. You may need to apologize to someone for doing something. Are you postponing it? Or are you just giving yourself the gift of anxiety to not do it? Because you find if you just do it, it's done, right? It's done. It's out there, right? And then you can move on, right? Nothing is as good or as bad as we think it's going to be, right? But the anxiety turns us in. Go read Marcus Aurelius. Go read Epicurus. Go read all those philosophers like the anxiety philosopher, the happiness philosopher, all that stuff. We are not what we claim to be if we're trying to demonstrate something else to other people. And that's misalignment. We're very good liars to ourselves. And insecure people tend to, hate me for that, because I just give them the patience and the look, and they know they're full of shit. And I know they're full of shit because everybody's full of shit. We're all trying to be something we're not. And it's such a waste of time. And it just drives anxiety, and it drives misery and misalignment and burnout and everything else. And so if we want to make it real, start asking ourselves the real questions, right? What do you say matters most? And is that what you're doing? Do your behaviors match it? Where did your time go last week? And is it something aligned with who it is that you wish to be? Are you avoiding a decision? And can you just take one baby step? What's that gap from where you are and where you claim to be or wish to be or anything? And circle that gap and then just take the step. Is it a difficult conversation? Call the person up and say, I need to have a difficult conversation. Give the context. And then it's over. And then it's out there, right? People feel it. We have this kind of, the front part of your brain is the social part of the brain. We know when something's off. We could feel it in other people. And that misalignment we feel in other people makes people detract from us. And so we have to kind of figure out our own personal internal alignment to do that. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being great. It's not about being excellent. It's not about necessarily what other people see. But it's about honesty and honesty with ourselves. And honesty is uncomfortable. But it is a lot easier to carry that short-term discomfort of having a hard, honest conversation with yourself than to carry misalignment off down the block, because that's always going to nag at you. And that's it. So anyway, have a good week. Let's get aligned. Let's get focused. Get outside. Get some sunshine. Have a wonderful week. And I'm back, baby. Let's have some more podcasts over the next couple of weeks. I hope everyone's doing well. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.